Hello, all. What's this? Checking to see where silver is now. I think I just saw 63.90 or something. Is that what I saw? 63.30, 63.30. They're fighting hard, and silver's running. JP Morgan changing futures selling. This is getting wild watching the pure desperation. Trey, much appreciated. Hello, Patriot Hero. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Grip Grip. Hello, White Rabbit. Thank you. I got it yesterday. Hello, Trevor, Dagoo, George. We do already have in the background waiting on us. It's going to be Dr. Scott. So I'm going to hit the news pretty quickly to maximize our time with the fella, the fine doctor from the Midwest. Belinda, whoa, 2 weeks before you're right. 2 weeks to Christmas. Wow. 2 weeks. Where's time just faster and faster and faster. Hello, White Wolf. Hello, Miss Kathy. See the gold highlights. Plenty of silver. Silver's the new gold, right? Can I run with that one, Kukla? Can I get away with it? Let's see. My Sunday school class at Second Baptist Houston's having their Christmas party now. Are you there, Steve? Are you enjoying it? Hello, Trish, Frank, Laney. Shayla's birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Shayla. Hello, Jay and Amy, young at heart. Hello, JJ. I know I need to be diving into it, folks. You can be okay if we don't wait until the 10-minute mark. Send silver. We can talk, right? It's always better with silver. Hello, Moon Dragon and Betty. Hello, T1 Nab. Did I already say that? I don't think I said that one. Whoa, now I'm not going to keep up with it at all. Watching Blade Runner 2049, Gematria Galatians. Wait, what? Huh. I don't know what that one is. Is that some kind of a podcast? Confederate Pirate Spirits Pen. Yeah, it's going to keep changing. They're making money. They don't pay us, but they're making money. Christopher, that is awesome. Made our first purchase with Kevin today. That is great, Christopher. Keep stacking. We're getting close. Silverman Kenny, I'm telling you, the way silver keeps running might be just the way to go. Might be just the way to go. Yes, I do have a small bond update. Small update, which fit with somebody else's update. So we're going to wait for the 5-minute mark. Then we'll jump in. Hopefully people will have joined. And let's see. So you wanted me to get highlights. I said they don't get any higher than this. Oh, D. Rogers, I wish we could get it done before Christmas. Think it's a push, but I'm hopeful. It is run out. Kevin's great. So kind of him to join us last night, too. I like that one. Who woman? Mark, I think I got your fortune cookie today. People may doubt what you say, but they will believe what you do. I like that one. I like that one. No, silver mine, they can't hedge anymore. It's the fundamentals are kicking in. You can only push it so far, and then the fundamentals dominate, and that's where we are at. Bob, I think the latest it could go is mid-January. Most of my sources are looking for early January. We'll see. I could be wrong. Could go longer. Could go much sooner. Think there's going to be something big worldwide somewhere between the 20th and 25th. Something big. Don't know what. Just a lot of unsettled out there. Okay, let's get to what I do have. I did get one check-in from one bond contact that is expecting, they had a great meeting today. Event went very well. Said they had to do a little more additional paperwork for KYC. They said some kind of update. I don't understand it because that should have already been done. But they were told to expect their funds in full somewhere between Monday and Wednesday of this next week, which would make sense. If they did that final stuff, it's already Friday there when they did it because of the time where they were located. It's the weekend for banking. It would make sense. I am hopeful. I am not going to pin my entire life on it, but I am beyond hopeful because it would fit timing wise. It would make sense. It's logical. Now let's get to Iraq and prepared. It looks like Dr. Scott's got a lot of stuff pulled up. Might be fun tonight with him. Let's get to the banner for the news time. Here's probably the only piece of news we needed to cover tonight. The U.S. House of Representatives revokes authorizations for the use of military force against Iraq. The U.S. National Defense Authorization Act revokes the 1991 and 2002 authorizations to use military force against Iraq. Supporting lawmakers argue that the revocation is necessary to affirm that Iraq is now a strategic partner of the United States. The law also restricts the 2026 budget from the Office of Security Cooperation in Iraq, making it release contingent upon Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth provides assurances that the Iraqi government is taking credible steps to curtail pro-Iranian groups through a public and verifiable disarmament. Demobilization and reintegration process establish state sovereignty and strengthen the prime minister's authority as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Exactly what they've been pushing for. Now, we do have a surprise on this one because it appears that they have somehow shaken Maliki enough to get on board. Maybe it's just in hopes that he might be able to be that person. I don't think there's any chance. The two leading positions right now are Soudani, and behind him, Maliki, is what my folks are saying there. Internal or domestic polling, whatever you want to call it. U.S. Embassy in Baghdad on Wednesday affirmed the U.S. commitment to partnership with Iraq after achieving victory over the terrorists. Just more positive how we're working with it. We're getting safe, stable. Your biggest one today is, of course, going to be the that one. United States stand ready to support Iraq. As long as they're doing everything from here, we're going to do everything we can to make them great and to develop strong business ties. Now, here's your 9 Shiite candidates compete for Iraq's next premiership as negotiations testify. And they tell us who the contenders are. And of course, amongst that is Soudani and Maliki. Guys, I don't think you're going to see Maliki, but Maliki has made it very clear that he is now willing to deal with any of these shocking U.S. conditions, which go right back here to Hegseth when he lined him out. We're running as fast as we can from Iran, and we're taking credible steps, and we're consolidating all forces. Very positive day in Iraq today. Securities Commission confirms the enhancement of investment environment in line with international standards. This is important. Time to be sovereign, international. Here we go. Securities Commission, sovereign, enhancement investment for international standards so that they can, be international. Really is, guys. It's a playbook straight from their white papers. What else do we? SpaceX going live. They did not give a date. They announced Thursday that they're ready for operations in a very short period of time. I've got one contact there that said they believe they will turn the switch on very first week of January, probably on the 1st or the 2nd. That is what I am being told from that source that works in the government in Iraq. So that is awesome. I'm going to keep running. Well, actually, I'm going to turn this one off and keep going. I know I'm going quickly, folks. Sooner. I'm with you. I want sooner. Let's bounce over here. 2.5 million illegal immigrants deported under Trump administration already. Think about that, guys. 2.5 million. Arrested more than 595,000 that have not self-deported. So it is a mass cleanup going on. I'm going to say it again. Self-deport. If you want to be here, truly want to be here, self-deport, get here legally. Because if you don't get a chance to come back for 10 years. That's our biggest news that I wanted to cover as quickly as I could before I brought Dr. Scott in this evening. I know I went fast.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? It looks like you got a lot of cool stuff for us to cover.
Well, I thought we could do a couple of video first, and then we can kind of go across the screen from the left to the right. So
Okay.
let's do the video first, and we'll kind of push into things.
All right, let's do it. Then we'll go
More
left to right.
estate tax. How about that? Do you have children?
I do.
Well, let them know. Now, if you love your children, then it's good. If you don't love your children, you don't have to leave them anything. It doesn't matter what I just said.
They're
But
still young. I still
I
love
have a
them.
feeling you love
I
them.
still love them.
I have a feeling you love your children. But the estate tax is a very big thing. So you don't have estate tax. You die, you leave your farm or whatever, or small business to your children, you don't have to pay estate tax. It seems to affect the farmer more than anybody else. Because you can have a farm that's very valuable, and therefore you
That's
have to pay a
true.
big tax, but it's not a big value in terms of cash. Maximizing domestic farm production is a big part of how we will make.
So again, Trump keeps saying the farmer. I have another video about the IRS and debt issues. He talks about the farmer. I keep saying, why isn't he using, dock workers or, like HVAC guys? He's talking about farmers because those are the exact people who dealt with the Nasara issues. He's using it as a comm directly to you guys. This is like a statement to you. If you wanted him to scream at you, he's doing it. Listen, he could say ranchers. Why wouldn't he say ranchers? Because ranchers have a bigger area than a farmer would ever have. They would actually, he's saying farmers, and then he says, well, small business. He's saying farmers because they are the ones that put the Fed or the Farm Bureau specifically underneath this direct attack of the Fed. Okay. So when we deal with, when I talk about ending the Fed, and I just did a thing that I'm going to be on with, his glory tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about ending the Fed and all the kind of stuff. And I'm going to give you a little bit of the background of that.
Now, it is curious when you said that, and you mentioned farmers and then Nasara, but I've had one from the Cherokee Nation, but I've had a couple of others tell me that there have been meetings going on like today in DC over contract something, six something, whatever, to help bring more sovereignty to the Indian nations, to give more of the power that they have slowly pulled away from them back to them. So that going on, it really does sound like Nasara to me. All right, I'll
Right.
shut up
So
now.
no, because if we go back, we start with the 14th Amendment in 1868, and it deleted the Indians. So we have to move forward into the 1880s, and the Constitution started to, the amendments started to give back, and I cannot remember which one it was that started to give back a little bit more toward the Indians. And then the farmers started to show up and say, listen, you've been stealing from us over and over again. So we started to deal with the black farmers, and which were stealing from them. But it was, when the Fed showed up, they started to steal. And so the original kind of thing is that in the 70s, the farmers, what they did is that they came in and the Farm Bureau rewrote the loans. And what they did is they said, these farmers original farmers were told, well, we'll do your loan at a lower rate. But what they did is they put a caveat that as if you died, it would revert back to the government. So these farmers, and they were actually in the northern Colorado area, a little bit in Kansas, and a little bit in Nebraska, but specifically in the northern Colorado area. And what happened is that they would lose their farm, and so that the son was coming in and going, "This is my farm." I worked it with my dad. And so this kind of thing came in, and it was just a little caveat. So lawyers came in and spanked the Farm Bureau, and this was the Fed. Farm Bureau is part of the Fed. and this kept spanking the Fed over and over again in contract law. So this kind of thing created a debt bubble for the farmers, and they got their farms back free and clear because of contract law. So I keep going back into contract law and debt forgiveness issues, and this is why the clarity of what Mark talks about and what we're getting after. That's why we keep talking about what we're dealing with here over and over again. Okay, so when we talk about ending the Fed, let's bring up this first operating loss here. These numbers here, if you were looking at them as a business owner, if this was your operating loss, if this was your balance sheet, you'd be peeing in your pants. Okay, so look at these numbers here, Q1 of 2020. Now, you should be looking at a bad loss if you are in 2020. But notice in 2020, they're not at a loss when everyone else was at a loss. Why are they not at a loss? Think about that for a second. Why are they not at a loss in 2021? It's because they didn't have to follow along with Basel III compliance. What they were allowed to do is go off and spend money left and right, and take all of their money in their bank and give it to people at ungodly rates. And so then the money started to turn, and then it started to turn during Biden's time frame. And this is when everyone started to fall off. Now, what happened here is APR rates started to happen. And then in 2022, 2023, this is when everyone started to see these rates started to go down in the toilet. Okay. And these rates started to go really badly. Okay. Let's do the next one here, the banking analysis point. So the same thing, these are in percentages. You're seeing the same kind of things. They started to turn. I pulled this one here just today. This was a really interesting one from the St. Louis Federal Reserve. You're seeing the same thing, and it's going just as badly as before. And balance sheets, they're not getting any better. I don't care what Trump talks about with how good they're going. You don't fix the federal banks. These things are unfixable here. And then we'll show you this last one here, the bankruptcy things. And the last one there, the bankruptcies are really ugly. Now, this one here was from December of 2025. So in 2008 and 2009, if you notice there, this is when bankruptcy was really, really high. And then it started to calm down. We had bankruptcies, right? But what we're starting to see is the bankruptcy rates are starting to go up dramatically since 2021, 2023, 2024, 2025. We're seeing massive increases in bankruptcies, filings in this dramatic time frame. So that little box up in the top there is what you're seeing, the dramatic increase in filings. This is a scary thing. So this is something that what's happening around America is that it is a really scary area that are happening. So
we're eclipsing all these numbers compared to 2008, and you folks don't remember how bad that one was. We're not even in the ballpark.
Yep.
When you look at like auto loan delinquencies, credit card delinquencies, foreclosure filings. I mean, we had like almost 4 years worth of them that were paused during the Biden administration that they held until January of this year. In other words, they weren't even allowed to start processing them. They really did. And my guess is they would have continued to find a way to kick the can down the road if Trump had not won, if it had been Biden, because the last thing they want is a collapse underneath the Democrat president. And the fundamentals are screaming, something's got to give.
And the thing I find fascinating is how is Trump with the IRS, this is your big amount of income. If he's saying, if you're an economist, let's just say I transported you from 2019, and I didn't give you any information, okay? And I said, Trump is your president, and he's now in, I move you from 2019 to 2025. And I said, okay, this is what Trump is saying. There's not going to be any more IRS for income tax. He's going to kill off estate tax. And you're going, okay. Now I'm going to show you the debt issues. I'm going to show you all of these other things. And I'm like, oh, hold on a second. You can't afford that. You're taking away your greatest amount of income, but you have more debt. You cannot possibly do this. No, 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 no. You can't afford that. And yet he's telling you that this is not equating here. Okay. Something's not fixing it. What I'm telling you, he's got another thing coming. So, yes, he did pardon Tina Peters. I don't know how that's going to fix things. He
that was when that like a state, and he can only pardon federal. I mean, I've not done a deep enough dive, guys, other than what they have done with Tina, the assaults on Tina, the threats on Tina. Yeah, something absolutely has to give on that front.
I don't know. I mean, I know she's part of the 2020 election stuff. I mean, or
and many people believe, and she has intimated that she has and saved all of that information and results. I just hope it is someplace. Can you imagine the effort that the deep state is going to bury any of that stuff? I hope she put in one heck of a dead man switch for that one.
She has. And I mean, one of the things we've heard about her is that I think she's been moved to a federal area. So we don't know this. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Robert is saying as well, guys. I'm just as I'm reading these things. We'll drop one in your
let's
lap.
answer some questions. So what do you think of the QFS and RV will happen before July? I think so. I definitely believe so. I mean, now that's why do people ask that question in July? Because that was I'm blanking her name out. I'm blanking the woman who talked about the gold-backed currency for that.
Judy Shelton, the one talking
Judy
about
Shelton, thank you. Yeah. She's the one that talked about will be gold-backed currency before that date. So that's the time frame that she's talked about. Yeah, I do believe that. So
yeah, there are a lot of posts about Obama moving to the UK. I don't know if it just started with some like Real Raw News or some AMG or something, and it's just gone from there, whether it's factual.
Well, we've seen him, I mean, literally walking into downtown Abbey. Think of Downtown Abbey because my wife watches that one. What's that?
Downing Street.
Downing Street. Yeah, it was Downtown Abbey. Anyway, yeah, you got it. You got my idea. But yeah, he's definitely talking to them, and I'm like going, why is an ex-president doing that? So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. Tina Peters was I believe she was the Secretary of State, Clerk of Court, whatever it was. She was in charge of those elections, and she pushed for the alternative elect. Oh, come on, I'm brain farting here. Electors, and I mean, she was saying, no, we got fraud. We got a lot of fraud. We got no chain of command on this information. I mean, she was the whistleblower, and
in Colorado,
the left went after her. She's a brave woman. Brave woman. Yeah, well, I mean, they had to move her just a few weeks ago because she got cornered and life threats. And I believe she actually took a bit of a beating. At least that's some of the different things I've read. What's factual, guys? I don't want to mess it up and screw it up. Very brave lady. A very brave lady.
So we started talking about $60 an ounce. I mean, we've been talking about this a long time. I moved almost all my money. Actually, I moved all my 401k into gold and silver. It's held gold and silver, and I was surprised how much it's gone up in value. It's it's dramatic, guys.
Really is. I mean, I stop and think majority of mine I bought a couple years ago when Andy first started coming on. It was like mid-20s. I first started stacking when it was like a little under $8 an ounce, and even then I didn't stack much. I had picked up 100 ounces like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I got a little fuzzy on it, but I'm like, wow. I'm blowing the market away.
I had to show
or pay my bills, but
I had to show my wife. I had to do like a screenshot of our 401k, and I'm like, look at this, and it was like a quarter, and I'm like, holy cow! And just like it's crazy what's happening with that. So,
and what's your thought of Richard's comment here?
So Iraq is saying the legally 1310 rate ends on December 31st. Banks are closing the books. We have gold and silver moving. I don't see us going in on December 31st. I mean, everyone makes a major financial change before the end of the year. We're seeing the same thing. I mean, Trump is saying something happening, by the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, I got to say something is happening, everywhere, in this way too. So, yeah, I got to say something's happening. I mean, something's going on there.
Brown Eyed Girl sharing a little more for those that weren't familiar with her. Tina Peters was charged with influencing a public serving, conspiracy to impersonate official misconduct. I mean, some of the crazy stuff they threw at her, and any logical person like that didn't happen, but they still threw it.
None of it happened. None of it was even closely true. I mean, it's worse than what they did to the J6 people, of what they made up. Well, or about the same. So, do you think we become a lender or a bank? I've heard a lot of people talk about that, for a project kind of things. Yeah, I've heard people say that. I guess you could. I mean, I'm not sure what the purpose would be to be a lender.
Mr. C's talked about starting a bank. I mean, could we all start a bank, group money, and its goal would be to, target certain, maybe we make it for Mr. C's talked about starting one for the farmer. Al Hodges had talked about starting a bank for CMKX holders and people that were in the reset, meaning currency holders that followed them, etc. He felt like we need one that understood, that didn't ask questions where we got our money, that understood our humanitarian desires and our lending, etc., and didn't operate like, I don't know, like a Wells Fargo, HSBC, whatever. In other words, one that truly understood us and wasn't constantly asking us questions because they all knew. I think it would be nice, but I don't have the
kind of
energy.
fun to see. I think what you might find is more of, and I'm not trying to, get all sideways because I know people get all mad about this, but like a 501c3 type, what if you had a donation type of thing, and you basically created something where you helped people along. Yes, a type of bank, but a type of helping system. Yeah. Yes, maybe a bank, but maybe not. I don't know.
Keep in mind, when we deposit money in the bank to loan like that, we're not going to have fractional. They'll quite literally loaning out our money. So we can't go to the bank and say, yeah, I want my money back. If you put it in there, you're going to have to tie it up for longer periods, but you will earn interest. So that's going to be something to think about moving forward. Questions for you here. Kukla's given me some help in pulling them together for you, Dr. Scott.
So, what do you think about the rate for dinar and dong? Will we just be at the RV and wonder about your thoughts? I have a feeling that we're never going to know the exact rate. We're going to be guessing about it, until we go, and that will be one thing we will never know and we'll never really talk about with anyone. I think that's going to be like the biggest, and we won't know that rate. And if we talk about an NDA, that is an NDA number. Why would you want to know that one? And I know you want to know it with your friends and don't that's like sharing what's in your bank account. So I don't think you're going to know it beforehand. I don't think you're going to know it until you're there and you're going to see it and you're like, okay. So
My understanding, Jack, they're still fighting. Nobody passed a health care bill today.
I think some of it got shot down, and then they're trying to re-up it. I know Trump.
I mean, you got two different versions of a health bill, and they're shooting pieces and parts and back and forth. So,
and by the way,
it partway through the day and quit following.
And by the way, Sluggo asked the question. No one needs to know your rate. I don't think this is ever going to be. I know other people are saying this. That you're going to negotiate a rate. Do not believe that. This is going to be a set rate. You are not going to card deal your way into a rate. Okay. Do not believe this, that you're going to ask for a better rate. Is that the best rate you can get? Okay. Do not believe any of the other people saying that you can negotiate a rate. Like Scott, because of who he is, or Mark, because of who he is, or, Kukla can get no. There is no way a banker is going to want to deal with people walking in with different rates. Okay. Everyone walking in is going to get the same exact rate, period. End of story. Will Bitcoin survive since it's backed by the nation's new finance system? I think Bitcoin survives. Do I think it survives long term? As an I don't. First off, I don't believe it's not necessarily asset backed. In essence,
it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't. It's got its own backing. Just like think about all of the other cryptos. They're not asset backed whatsoever. Okay, so they all have their own. They're off their own grid, but they're all tied to the dollar. So what happens? The QFS is the version that will be directly tied in to the Treasury, or for the United States Treasury note. Okay, so that is the direct tie point. Bitcoin, it still can exist, but it won't have a lot of meaning in and of itself. It'll be there, but people are like, well, why do we want to utilize it? I mean, that's going to be my basic thing. Why would you utilize Bitcoin when you have the QFS? That's my basic thing. Down the road,
most things like that are alternative stores of value, so you can put it there and save it and park it because you're worried that the system's going to crash. Now, I do think it will take some time for people to develop the proper trust for that system, and that's when I think we'll start seeing some of those alternatives lose some value because
exactly
they won't be necessary anymore. Frank wants to know if you have any information on the tariff dividend. Everything I have read, Trump's comments, Besant's comments, saying yes, it is something that they want to look at early 2026.
Yeah,
I think your chance of getting it before Christmas, the end of the year, is zilch.
Nope, not happening. The tariff dividend is supposedly being tied to some tax refund issue time frame, first quarter. That's what he's talking about. Do you have to file a tax? We don't know what that is. I wish I knew what that was. So I will bring my common law trust to the appointment. Can I put house under the trust? You probably should put your house under trust. Should I get a separate one? uh, you're not going to necessarily want to think about getting a separate one. You're probably going to be talking to a lawyer later on afterward. You're gonna clean up a lot of things. Listen, your Bob Lock trust, okay? Just like any, if you got a trust, beforehand, what's going to happen is that as soon as you've gone to that appointment, you're going to be talking to a lawyer later on, a little bit later on, and you're going to be cleaning up a whole bunch of things under there. You're going to be putting bank accounts underneath there. You're going to be cleaning up a lot more of the paperwork. And then you're going to be setting up, things underneath that trust even further. And they'll help you with that kind of stuff. Trust me, you're going to be talking to lawyers for a bit. Some people that will help you figure out a lot of that stuff. Bob Lock's trust or any other one is just the starting point. Okay, so think about it. You're in your Indy 500 race. You're at the beginning point of the race. There's a lot to the race that you're going to happen.
Another thing to remember, the trusts aren't to keep the government from taking your money. It's from frivolous lawsuits. Very different as to what a trust is used for. A lot of people are like, yeah, but we're going to have the QFS. We don't need it. QFS has nothing to do with lawyers and litigious people, stubbing their toe at your house and trying to sue you for your car. Most wealthy people use multiple trusts, multiple corporations. What happens if they pierce one? What happens if you do something and they're able to pierce one in court? Then they could take everything that you have in that one group. It's always better to keep anything that is high risk under its own corporation, its own trust or whatever. And then it can be held by the bigger trust, because then they have to, it's very difficult for them to pierce a trust, but now you're going to make it 2-3 times exponentially more difficult. There's so much out there on trusts. YouTube could be there's so many lawyers that talk about it and talk about the differences. You don't have to ask us, folks. You can do a deep dive for an hour or two, and you're probably going to know way more than we do even.
And by the way, to someone's asking about, a trust lawyers working under, natural law and other stuff. Listen, the trusts, frankly, you don't have to worry about them in ways of, constitutional law versus, other stuff. They're actually kind of outside of the conversations of the, some of the things that you're totally worried about. Be calm on that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff is going to flush out with the IRS, and don't worry about them too much yet. You cannot fix things because the lawyers are going to learn things as we go, and it'll get better. Trust me, you can't figure all that stuff out, and no one has.
Nobody's going to know everything the moment they flip a switch, because they've kept us in the dark on purpose.
Right.
Richard brings up a great point. Sorry, guys, to tell people to stay quiet with all of us telling everyone we know to buy currency. Once this goes, a lot of people are going to know how we got our money and how much money we got, because most of us have been, oh, come on, man, I got 3 million, go buy whatever, or whatever that number is. A lot of people have been out there, no, you need to buy it. And then suddenly they see with wealth. It's a good point. A lot of people are going to know exactly where you got your money.
Right.
And probably have a good idea of how much money you got.
The best thing is that most people didn't think about it, didn't think about you. I mean, listen, you're just gonna have to be like, not worry about what other people are doing. You just have to focus on yourself with that too. What about starting a lending institution with our monies? Yeah, like, I know you're thinking about it that, way. There's a billion ways you can kind of come up with that. Really pray about how you're going to think of what you're going to do there. It's hard to say what you should do on that. So,
yeah, I'm gonna see if I got to put them back on. As my eyes improve, it makes it worse on the computer because they have to go on and off even more than normal. Kevin, I didn't even tell my wife. Just a surprise shopping trip, Kevin. Cap, Viola, I've not said one peep. You folks probably pretty smart. I was out there, trying to share with everybody I could, man. You think about it, consider. I quit telling people now. Yeah, exactly. Put a zipper on your mouth. Dr. Scott.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. I mean, listen, people know my name. I'm pretty easy to find, but you know what? I can't worry about it. I cannot worry about stuff. I can't worry about what's happening out there. People get mad. People will get upset about it. What can you do?
Marianne, hey, it goes both ways. She's not telling her husband anything. Gonna be a lot of wealthy women out there. Leave town for a while. Yeah, you can tell them you've got to go take care of a relative in another state. Of course, if you're married, it could be your spouse is the relative because they're going to be in another state with you on that vacation.
And I know we're talking about banking too, but I think one of the things that's going to happen, there are lots of people in other countries that are never going to use banking whatsoever. I mean, you're going to see people in the Congo, and I've talked about this before, but you're going to see people in Congo that can utilize the QFS without ever banking, ever. So they're going to utilize the QFS system in their country, and they're just going to be able to access it back and forth. So really not going to utilize the banking system at all. So anyway, yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Frank, I'll be broadcasting from my bunker, so that'll work out. Reading some of these, I'm just like, Stewball, just give him $1 million and tell him to go away. I do like this one. Go to a larger city, do your banking, go handle your exchange somewhere else, only move back to your local bank or area, how much you want them to know you have. I've seen some great suggestions from folks. Another one wanted to know, are lawyers training in this? There's been a major push in the legal system to get lawyers to do their continuing education in common law. Some of them have embraced it. I've got a buddy that has a well-renowned law practice, and that is what they have been doing. Because it has been talked about in some of the upper circles in the legal world, is that return to common law. So I know some have, most have not.
So don't you get your higher rate with the Zim? So over and over again, I think Mark has talked about this. It's not necessarily a higher rate, and we're just going to use the terms that Mark has talked about. 30 to 50 million. You're not necessarily getting a higher rate. You just have access to other funds for your project. So it's not like a higher rate here. Okay. You get other funds that would be utilized toward that. It's additional other monies. And it's not like you get extra money in this front end of that. Okay. So what happens is that, for instance, if you're doing your particular XYZ type of project, that allows you to be able to have other funds that you can utilize toward whatever thing might happen. So it's not like extra funds. You're not getting a higher rate in initial points there. It's to do the other things in there. So it's not monies that you're going to use.
Nothing additional for your personal spending. Anything additional you get has to 100% go to that project, not to you, to that project.
I mean, it might have like an office space for you, or you're buying a building or something like that, and that gives you the office space to do, and computers or other things that you would need for that. But it's not like for you to have like a new house or a new car for you. Maybe it's a new car for you to be able to drive, or for the business structure, but it's not the same thing. Won't the rates we are being paid for the currencies be that of the Forex be less than the bank fees? I'm not sure if I know how to say that. Can you say that?
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of a tough one. For most of your currencies, I believe that is pretty accurate. I believe that because we are in the know and considered part of the internet group, that our fees will be much lower. Do I think that some of the currencies will be higher than 4x because of oil for dinar or dinar for oil? I do think there's a chance that some of our currencies could be higher than the 4x rate because of that. And if you're interested in that one, we've talked about it in the past, but we were told years ago, and there is some official documentation out there. And the reason certain nations helped, they were pitched. If you help us liberate Iraq, Kuwait, you help us in Iraq with Saddam Hussein, then we'll allow you to buy oil for $35 a barrel with your dinar. In other words, they'll be able to trade it in over time and get oil at a major discount. So there will be nations out there, if all this is accurate and true, and I believe it to be, then these nations are going to want, because I mean, even with the oil at a discount today, what's it down to? Like $65 a barrel, 65, 70 bucks. Wouldn't you want to use dinar? If I can buy dinar from you and I can get my oil for half price, I could give you a little extra money for that. And that is the thought on that one, Jim. Now, Jay, I love this one. I may drive my bus right to the bank and leave it there forever. Jay, dude, I like that idea. Take your title with you. There's going to be a notary in the bank. Say, hey, will you notarize this? Here, it's yours. Any employee want this? Take it, drive it away. I like that, Jay. That's funny. This one's for you.
Well, do you think you need to file taxes? That is a big question. I know people are wondering.
People know by middle January.
That's a question. Do you need to file your taxes to get that cool refund? Yeah, that's a question I don't know. I mean, I'm asking that question as well.
Yeah, me personally, I don't think we're going to have to. Do I know for certain? Am I prepared to if I have to? Yes. Even Trump has told us we're not going to have to file income taxes in the near future. What's the near future? Is that, a year from now? Is that 2 weeks from now? So I don't know that one, but I don't think we're going to have to. But be prepared. Richard, bada bing. Exactly. So the oil for dinar is our treasury buying dinar from us, not Iraq. Also, it would be China who did not participate if they want to be able to take advantage of it. They're going to need to buy it from people like us because they didn't help liberate Iraq. That's my understanding.
Someone asked about. Let's see here. I was trying to see something you had. There was something here.
What are taxes?
That's a really good question. I love it.
Trying to find you another couple of fun ones. I believe dinar for oil is real. I've seen government documents. I've seen references. So for me, I believe it's real. We're not going to know for certain until after the fact. Wow, Roy, my accountant has asked me if I hold Bitcoin or digital currency in the past 3 years. And oh yeah, no, that one was easy. They passed a law a couple years ago where they have to disclose those things. And the general rule of thumb is don't tell your accountant anything you don't want them to know.
Yeah, really. I don't tell anyone anything on that kind of stuff. Why? Do you think the banks may go away with this? I don't think so. I think about this. Why would banks go away? I mean, will people suddenly have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 to go buy a house? Why would they have that much money, whatever it might be, to buy that? Would they suddenly have that much cash in their hand? The answer is no. So how would they have that? They need to have that, and they will need to have loans. They're always going to have an ability to need for loans.
And people with money are going to want a place where they can put their money to earn a little interest. So the bank's probably going to have package deals where, kind of like a CD, where they can use those. It takes a little while for you to withdraw, but they can use that to be able to loan and make money, especially since they're not going to be able to, if what we understand is accurate, they're not going to be able to fractionalize and create money out of nothing. So they're going to have real dedicated deposits in order for them to loan out anything and make any interest. Banks can't make money without you. you're going to still need financial services. Maybe it's a loan for a house, maybe it's a loan for a car. Not everybody has currency. My guess is less than 1% of people, maybe a fraction of a percent. So banks are still going to be needed. You may not need it.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, I think banks will lose a ton of their power, though. think think about that. They're going to lose a ton of their power and a ton of their capabilities that they've had. But they're going to change a lot. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to be utilized in some ways too. Could they reverse the 1933 Act with the confiscation of gold? Well, yeah, that's the one thing that's going to happen. That's when Treasury takes over that capability with it too. So you might have answered this before. I'm not getting a dividend dollar. The U.S. debt clock says 3% of dividend per year. Again, I don't think about what the debt clock says because it's manipulated. So I don't know how to answer what the debt clock is talking about. So I'm not going to answer what debt clock talks about with that too. What we're going to be on once Treasury sets a number, if you want to go with what Jim Records sets it, talks about it at 27K for gold, it's going to be set to that, okay, or $10,000 or whatever the number. Then we're going to be working from that kind of number. So that's kind of the thing, and then then we got to ask the question: what will banks set, their rate? For instance, if we're talking about what dividend that they might give you at that bank for a rate, then that's another kind of conversation too. So,
oh, I just noticed the time. I'm going to need to move towards, maybe we can squeeze in one or two more and then get you to close us with prayers. Or anything you want to talk about specifically before we find another question or two?
No, we're going right along time frame too with that. It's fun. What banks?
Go ahead.
What banks will be safe? We keep your money. Every bank, because that's what the QFS is going to be. This is the whole key. FDIC is the fake. Okay, when they came up with the FDIC, the FDIC was created to call it safe. What it was is to steal from you. Okay, the QFS was to make them take away their safety net and give that safety net to you. So when we're on the QFS, you are 100% safe from them. Okay. You then have all the control and all the safety with that too.
I think it's a great last question, because this is one that a lot of people ask me, and I looking forward to expanding, looking forward to getting Dr. Young's take on this one. MS Mom, I'm afraid I won't be able to buy a house because people will have money to compete. Most people won't have money.
Okay, say that again. Like you won't be able to have enough money to get a house because people will have money to compete.
I mean, if everybody suddenly gets a lot of money, like they pay us for birth certificates, everybody out there is current. Most people don't have currency. I don't believe they're paying us for our birth certificates. A lot of people are going to lose their butt when this goes because they're invested in fractional make-believe paper stuff.
See, that's right there. Again, I love it when you ask that question because it's a really good point. And I keep telling people to go, because that is a great question, but it's a great point. If everyone was given $1 million, no one would have $1 million. And I know that sounds kind of stupid in a statement, but here's the point. If everyone just play the game of Monopoly. If everyone had the properties, the value is meaningless. The longer that you play the game and everyone was able to pay for, hitting boardwalk, then then hitting boardwalk doesn't bother you. It has no meaning to if you landed on boardwalk and you were able to drop $2,000 every single time, then it doesn't hurt you, right? If you were able to buy any property on Monopoly, then it doesn't have any meaning to that, right? It has to hurt and it has to have a gain to it. Therefore, there is no way everyone is going to have all kinds of cash. There is no way it's ever going to be like that. It is only a few. I mean, we're only going to see a certain number of that kind of way. So it is not going to be everyone's going to have a ton of cash. Everyone's going to be getting better, but it is not going to be that kind of thing where there's going to be people running around with everyone getting millions of dollars. So,
there's one I just wanted to touch on real quick,
Sure.
and then go to a prayer, but only Roy Hobbs. So basically, we go to the RV to revalue, get some cash, and the rest we put in the QFS account that we have access to. Yes. If so, why will we need a lawyer until I decide what I want to use it for? You don't.
well, yeah,
Put it there, make it safe. Your only risk really is, let's say, until you see that lawyer, until you make a trust, you do any of those things, is you got to be really careful. You don't need to go out and get blistering drunk after you do your redemption and then run over somebody and then lose it all when you get sued. So you're going to, for legal protection reasons, you're going to need to be pretty safe. But you're right, Roy. Until you have the money, you don't have to do anything. Unless you
What-
want to and be prepared, so you're ready to start running immediately straight out of the gate. But theoretically, you're right. Just means you're going to have a small period there where you're going to need to consolidate and protect it before you start buying things.
but Roy, haven't you thought about anything?
Oh yeah, Roy's thought about it a million times.
Okay, so if Roy, but let's just say Roy. I mean, let's say Roy, you might have thought about this, but I think some people haven't made even a little bit of plans here, and I would be like, guys, make some plans. If you haven't made even a little bit of plans, spend some time with a
Think.
whiteboard and with pens and paper and start making a little bit of plans so that you have some ideas. And then guess what? Your first appointments should be with some financial planners and with some lawyers and some people that can help you with figuring out, thinking about money. Okay. My first time frame after I opened a business was starting to learn about tax planning and financial planning and what money meant. That was my first set of education. I spent tons of time learning about money, even when I didn't know anything about money. And I didn't have much money when I opened up my business. But that's all I did because I didn't understand it. And I'm saying, I hear people all the time and they're going, not Roy, I understand what you're saying there. But if you're about ready to have a ton of money, $100,000, $1 million, whatever that might be, why aren't you investing your mind to go off and say, what don't I know about money? I mean, there's a ton of people out there that can help you learn about money. And you guys, you have access to YouTube and say, you know, what wealth means.
There's so many great resources out there. Dr. Scott, you ready for prayer time?
Yep. Let's do it. Lord God, I just come to you right now for the people and ask that they would start investing in that knowledge. Solomon did it. Solomon invested in understanding, in wisdom, and he asked for wisdom. And when he did that, the wealth came to him. We just ask for the people right now that they would invest in wisdom and understanding, that they would start to invest in that so that they could be able to be wise in what they're doing. And I just thank you, Lord God, that they would start to invest in their mind and they would invest in their spirit so that they could do the right things, and they would fritter away the things that you're about ready to give them. And I just thank you, Lord God, for that. And I just thank you for the peace that passes all understanding will guard their hearts and mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And the people said, amen. Thank you, Dr. Scott. We value your time with us. Yeah. So when's your next podcast? When are you going to be with the people next?
I'm going to be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Your time?
fantastic. Wait, 10 Central, 12.
Oh, no,
whatever.
9, sorry, 10 Central. Yes, sorry. I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Look forward to seeing you. I'll see you at 10 Eastern tomorrow. So looking forward to that one. And mods, thank you, everybody. Thank you.